All right, it's now live. Try to join. Let's keep it there.
No, that's you.
You just watching me? Am I? Are you watching me? How do you do so you can be here?
Ma, just move her car to her spot and I'll drive because I need a phone charger. My phone's about to die.
I'll pull out and you pull out and I'll pull back in.
How do I get at it?
That's what I needed. Adios, Dad.
Bye.
Bye guys. Bye Ellis.
Bye.
Clear your voice, nice.
I don't know.
Is that delayed like on your screen? God. Alright, I'll shut the door. Alright. It's 6 o'clock. I'm wondering if it won't let me join because hopefully that's not the case. It says I have one viewer. I'm assuming that's you. I'm hoping this doesn't get screwed up with us both talking in the same room. You know what I mean?
Well, first I gotta see how I get out of here. I don't know where the option would be to. Video call settings. No.
I don't get this.
thing for you to like.
I'm looking at it. I'm trying to. What's camera there? Any guest join had their audio and video from the broadcast? Yeah, no. Yeah, I don't.
What if you?
Hey, there's Matt.
How do you do that?
Matt, how did you get into this hangout?
I went to my Facebook message thing and I downloaded the Hangout app on my phone. My computer's being weird.
What are you eating?
Pasta Primavera.
I'm wondering if maybe we just have us on the same screen.
What if
How many other
we
people are here?
Huh?
It's just us three.
back over there? So when we sit here, it'll be a little bigger.
Well, yeah, we're gonna have to be close anyway to get the mic.
Yeah, leave
Somewhere.
this here and put the computer like there.
We have Matt Scarano in Orlando from our Orlando office.
Does that make sense or no?
Yeah, it does. All right.
So I can close this thing?
Yeah.
Gosh darn it.
I was hoping I was gonna have you.
Watching the president picks right now.
It's weird. I couldn't get Ellis to join.
I picked Temple to win the whole thing.
That's not nice.
So pissed.
Do your best to refrain from swearing. My grandparents are probably gonna listen to this at some point.
Oh, okay. I'm very upset.
Alrighty.
Okay, so let's see.
So, just a heads up, I will have to leave in like.
That's fine. We're just gonna get. You can just do your spiel. I'm hoping I can edit the video before it goes on YouTube because what was it? Almost maybe longer than 5 minutes, just us sitting here. Yeah.
Where are your sheets? You don't need your sheets, there, buddy?
Oh, Ellis, you look so dapper.
Hold on. Don't talk. Let me talk so I can try to focus this into the video. This is such a weird. Alright. Trying to think where I can put this bad boy right here. Alright, here we go.
You need your sheets.
Shut up.
Got my research ready. This is ESPN.
Alright, I got the sheet. I am. Alright. Let me just get the recording going here. La 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 la. Turn the gain up a little.
You're gonna have to excuse my voice, Matthew. I kind of lost it.
Turn the game up
That's okay.
just a bit. Just a touch key. Alright, try not to hit the table because the mic will pick it up.
No promises.
Just letting you know, man. Just letting you know.
I don't get to see Matt's beautiful face.
Not yet. Hold on. If we're
Tee.
okay, just making sure
Hey,
it's gonna pick it up. All right, let's just record it.
11.
La 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 la. Well, I'm probably gonna have to bump up the audio.
Try saying it with an American accent.
Do that right there.
Illinois is calling me. I don't think we're gonna answer. Should we answer on the air? Hello. Nothing so much.
Illinois. All right. Let's see here.
San Diego State or St. John's? That's one of the tougher ones on here.
It is tough.
I think BYU is gonna win the whole thing.
You're very funny.
I scared you. Ooh, for the Ortiz.
Could Davidson beat Gonzaga?
I don't have Duke playing Gonzaga.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
We both have Duke, Iowa State.
Nice. Yeah, I have Iowa State. But in the second round, could Davidson beat Gonzaga?
Oh, these are Duke.
No.
I don't have Davidson winning, so. Big Ten pride.
All right.
Dennis, this is going to be like 5 more minutes, so I'm going to take a shave really quick if it's going to be 5 more minutes.
It's not gonna be 5 more minutes. We're gonna get going right now.
Okay.
All right. So let's see. Move that so you're in it. Mike's not in it. All right. Ready, people?
Sono pronto.
All right. I don't know what that means.
I'm ready.
Great. Okay. So here we go. Ellis, thanks for coming to my bedroom. You're listening to Dennis the Menace. He's returned, made his giant return to the airwaves. That is podcasting radio. And there's a special guest, Matt Scarano, who appears to be drinking something from the offices in Orlando. He made a very special
Thank you guys.
brief appearance. So Matt, we'll get right into it so we can let you go dress up as some character today in Disneyland. Who are you dressing up as today?
Don't be.
Today, I will be Mickey Mouse, and I want to say thank
You're not
you
gonna
so
be
much
Mickey Mouse. There's
for
no way.
having me.
Are you really going to be Mickey
No,
Mouse?
I'm not gonna be. No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
It is a sunny day, and it is about 83 degrees here.
Gosh,
so
we
it's
hate
pretty
you.
much exact opposite
It's sunny here, though.
of what Dennis enjoys. Well,
It actually was very nice today. It was
How
very
cold is
windy.
oh,
Right.
okay.
Anyway,
Well,
Matt,
thank you for
we'll let
having me on the
you
show.
go on your little tirade on why your Temple Owls, among other teams, were snubbed this year in the NCAA Tournament. Obviously, this entire show is dedicated to the 2015 NCAA Tournament. We're going round by round, game by game, all the way through, from the number 1 seed Kentucky Wildcats all the way down to go to the corner bracket. That's where Gonzaga sits. We're just going to go to the bracket, left, down,
Skitty bitty doo.
in a semi-type square.
Not
But we'll
really.
let Matt start because he's not going to be here for long. And
Correct.
Matt, go ahead.
Well, this year it is it's very. I know this is one of the most exciting times sports-wise of the entire year, and I'm a bit disappointed. I have to be honest, because my hometown team, the Temple Owls, didn't make the tournament this year, and it's very crushing. And I'm not going to go into a whole spiel about how the Temple Owls season could not have gotten them
Maybe
into
if you
the
had
tournament.
Juan Fernandez brought him back.
Yeah, we should have just grabbed him right there in the parking garage that one day, and we could have put him right back on the court.
We could have.
But no, since I'm not going to be here to go around the whole bracket with you, one of the things that did upset me, and I think in past years we could agree that there are some notable snubs and notable how did this team get in kind of situations. I think more so this year than in other years. A couple of those being UCLA, Texas, over the Temple Owls, and I actually
Indiana.
brought up Indiana. I brought up a little graphic here.
Of course.
I have a Temple UCLA side-by-side resume comparison here to further discuss how Temple got in and how Temple didn't get in and how UCLA did. Temple finished the season with, and Dennis, you will know more about this than I am, so maybe you can better discuss the situation. Temple finished the season with a 23-10 record. UCLA finishing with a 20-13 record. So Temple right off the bat has a 3-game better record than UCLA. That aside,
Math skills.
Temple has a RPI of 34, where UCLA has an RPI of 47. So that's 2 points for Temple, 0 for UCLA. Records versus top teams with top 100 RPIs. Temple at an even 8-8. UCLA at 5-10. So chalk another one up for Temple. And Temple's best win of the year was a 25-point bashing of the Kansas Jayhawks, whereas UCLA's best win was against Utah that had an RPI of 20. So riddle me that, selection committee.
Riddle me that.
So I don't know about that, and I will let you maybe discuss
Well, Matt, I
your
want to
opinion.
ask you, do you think Temple would have been the next team in, or would Colorado State go above them? Would Richmond go above them? These are all teams that were just outside the bubble that did not make it.
I think they would, and that kind of can bounce off of another argument. Clearly, if you look at the bracket, and it doesn't need to be this bracket, it could be past brackets, power conferences. If you're not in a power conference, good luck. You pretty much don't mean anything because the selection committee wants to see those big power conference teams. Am I right or am I right?
They want their money.
Now, I was watching, the name of this gentleman escapes me, but I was watching the, you know how like after the committee selects the teams, they bring on a guy from the committee.
And some men sit around in business suits and talk about basketball.
Exactly, and they bring on the guy from the selection committee, and they're like, so this team, a lot of people thought was going to get in. Why was this? And he essentially said, if you look in what's the conference with Wyoming and San Diego State? What's that conference?
I don't know, Mountain West, something like that.
Yeah. So Wyoming won I think it is Mountain West actually. Thank you. So Wyoming surprisingly won that conference, which is a conference that most people thought San Diego State would win.
Mm-hmm.
And since San Diego State didn't win the conference, they got an at-large bid instead of an automatic bid. And Wyoming, which no one thought would win that conference, since Wyoming ended up winning and getting the automatic bid, that took an extra bid away that would have went to Temple, who was literally out of that group, the Colorado States and the Richmonds and the Old Dominions. Temple was the first team out of the tournament because the spot that Wyoming, instead of having one bid from that conference, being San Diego State as the automatic, Wyoming won, giving San Diego State the at-large and Wyoming the automatic, thus taking Temple's bid away. So that was the exact reason, but then it brings up my second question. How does UCLA get in over Temple?
The only question I have with UCLA is UCLA wasn't even in the 4 playing games, that the 2 that took place last night and the 2 that will take place tonight. Teams like Creighton, I think, are better. BYU, even though BYU blew a lead, and they don't deserve to go back to school. They should just be shunned Mormon society.
And these are all questions, Dennis, that I, for one, don't have the answer to. But it's just, yes, I would have had a horse in the race, so I'm a little bit more invested in Temple not getting in. But this bracket over years past, to me, has a lot more how on earth did this team get in, how on earth did this team not get in than brackets of reason. That's my opinion on that. But Temple aside, looking at this bracket, and I still have some to fill in before the playing games start tonight, there are some – I don't think we've ever had a team in a bracket that is that certain that they deserve the overall number 1, or that is that popular or is that highly favored to win the championship as Kentucky. I don't think we've seen that in a while either. There's always going to be the brackets where you kind of fill out all the number 1s just to play it safe. But I don't think we've ever been more sure of a team in a bracket than people are of Kentucky this year.
Not that we were alive at the time. Actually, we were alive. I was alive. You guys might not. Matt, you were probably just shy, or you were a couple weeks away. UNLV was the last undefeated team that really had a shot in like 91 or 92, whenever that was. And it wasn't an undefeated Wichita State who doesn't play anybody. It was UNLV from whatever conference they were in back then. I don't know if people have had paper brackets that they fill out. Maybe they did.
Don't get me wrong. Kentucky, there are plenty of teams in this bracket, and we've seen it through Kentucky. Kentucky, although they're undefeated, has had some very close calls and had some teams challenge them, teams that you wouldn't necessarily think would challenge them like that.
And it's teams
that have some close calls where they're tied at halftime or trailing by 8 or 9 at one point. But that's another reason why they're so good, because they bounce back, and every game they're one incredible team. And I think they're going to have a date with your Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
Yeah. I do.
In the Elite Eight.
I agree.
Clash of the Titans.
There's 2 teams that can beat this Kentucky team in the bracket. Maybe 3.
Maybe 3.
Maryland, maybe.
No.
I think maybe Maryland.
No.
That's their first true test, in my opinion, in this tournament, the Sweet 16
I would
matchup.
like to think so.
If the Terps survive that far.
We don't have the size to match
that's
up.
the same problem with Notre Dame. 4 of their 5 starters are 6'6" and under.
Right.
3
Yeah,
of them,
no, there's
6'5",
I think
1.
game, with the exception of the 1 versus 16 matchup with Kentucky, I think if it pans out the way I see it panning out, each of these teams are going to give Kentucky a run for their money. And by that, I mean it's going to be a close game up until halftime. At some point in the second half, Kentucky's just going to run away with it. But I think Kentucky and Notre Dame, Elite Eight, I see that happening here. I think Arizona can get to the Final Four. I think Arizona could give Kentucky some trouble. Also on here, I'll look through any upsets I have. I don't think I have any crazy upsets. I do have Iowa State going to the Elite Eight. I have Ohio State beating VCU, if you want to call that an upset.
Same.
Indiana beating Wichita State, so these are 10/7s.
Yeah,
Texas
they're not
over Butler. A big one that I have, if you look in the East, I do have Wyoming beating Northern Iowa. So it's not a big one, but it's a 12 beating a 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I would say
Who's
down in the
Who's
corner
your first
there.
number 1 out?
Who's my what?
The first number 1 seed out in your bracket.
My bracket still isn't completely finished, so I would have to say I'm at about, this is where I'm at right now. I'm at about the Sweet 16 Elite 8 in most of the
Sorry,
bracket.
you can't see that.
I would say Wisconsin would be my first number 1 out.
Same. Yeah, we're like on the same page with everything. It's great.
Yeah, no, I would say Wisconsin would be my first out. I'm still having some trouble. That bottom right-hand corner of your bracket in the South there is very. I like the Iowa State coming there. I like Davidson and Gonzaga. I could see Davidson every year. It seems that Davidson is like
the same type
right
of
in there. That's Cinderella team.
Them and Steph Curry went to this tournament. They shoot every member of the starting 5 can shoot. They spread the floor. They don't turn the ball over. And I'm not sold on Gonzaga.
I also picked Wofford to be Arkansas.
Wolford.
Yep.
Wofford. Who some Arkansas players admitted earlier today to not knowing who they were until they got picked with them in the tournament.
I wouldn't put it past them.
Yeah, that's my bracket as of right now. I'm very excited to see Temple as a number 1 seed in the NIT.
They played tonight.
They play Bucknell tonight, so cancel your plans. Cancel your plans for a comfy spot on the couch. I will be at work, not watching it. So, but yeah, that is my bracket. I do think you're gonna have. I think that the percentage was like 90% people saying Kentucky winning it all. Wisconsin was like 10%, 10 points, something like that. Yeah, I don't see any monumentally crazy upsets happening.
All right,
we know Notre Dame beating Kansas. And yeah.
You have any other
questions?
Big tidbits you'd like to get off your chest? And if not, I know it's not finished, but just try to see a Final Four you're envisioning in your head and who you will have winning.
The Final Four that I am envisioning in my head would include Kentucky, Villanova, Duke, and Arizona. So Arizona, I'm a little boring there with Arizona being the only team in there that's the 1 seed.
Yeah, so she shouldn't up there.
But that having been said, I do see a lot of situations where it could be, in the words of Dick Vitale, upset city, baby.
Upset city, baby!
That Iowa State team, they are very well coached, and there's just something about them. And they're always on upset alert in the tournament when they're there. So I could definitely, for the sake of playing it safe, Kentucky, Villanova, Duke, Arizona. Okay. But I could see a situation where Duke Duke could not make the Final Four.
All right.
Duke doesn't scare me that much.
I'm never picking Duke again.
Yeah.
Ever.
You picked them to win last year?
I picked them to win last year, and they
They
were
lost in the first
round exit. So never again.
Yeah.
If anyone that
Yeah.
hears this eventually or is listening now, which I don't think they are because it says one viewer, but still neither here nor there, you can go on SoundCloud and find my rant that took place a week or 2 weeks later on Duke. It's quite lengthy, and I threw every member of that team under the bus,
Good time.
including the great Coach K. I still have respect for it, but sorry.
Right. Yeah, no, I think that's I wanna stick around. I have like 5 more minutes. I wanna stick around and hear your guys your go on, talk about what you can talk about.
Okay. Do you have anything else first, Matt, or will you just want us to go
I
up?
think maybe I'll chime in the next couple minutes before I get out of here. But that was kind of my big rant.
All right.
So.
So then we'll start in the Midwest.
Well, before we start, may I have my rant?
Oh, yeah, sorry. I'll minimize my little...
My little rant.
Thank
Now,
you.
Matt, are you ready for my rant?
I was born ready.
So,
I'm going to step off and get some
you're
water.
stepping off.
I'll let you...
After your rant, I'll get out of here.
So, this year for the tournament, the 4 number 3 seeds were as follows. Notre Dame, which I completely accept. They won the ACC tournament. Good job.
Thank you. My shirt's on the way.
Next, number 3 seed was Baylor. Who are you? Nobody. Big 12, my butt. Not buying it. Sorry. Baylor this year, I got some quick stats. Baylor, 24-9. All right. 6-4 versus top 25. All right. Not bad. 8-4 in their last 12. All right. Let's go to the next number 3 seed. In the East, my absolute favorite, Oklahoma, 22-10. Never has a 3 seed had that many losses. 10 losses. What is that? 10 for a 3 seed. That's horse garbage. It's garbage. These stats are great. Oklahoma, 4-6 versus the top 25, and you're a 3 seed? Come on. Maryland, 4-2 versus the top 25. 9-3 in their last 12. Oklahoma also 9-3. But you compare the record versus the top 25, it's not even close. Oklahoma did nothing. Nothing. And Iowa State, I completely agree with. Oklahoma shouldn't be there. Maryland lost the 3 seed and they got punished. Ridiculous. That's my rant.
Ellis, I just want to ask, who would you rather see in those spots?
Well, Maryland.
Notre Dame should be there. Baylor I can buy, sort of. Iowa State definitely. And Maryland should have been the last 3 seed over Oklahoma without a doubt. So they got 3 right. Oklahoma should not be a 3 seed. Very disappointing. Apologies. There's my rant.
Pretty substantial. Good rant. Good rant.
Gosh.
Dennis, I gotta go before I hear your rant, so I'll have to watch this.
I don't really have any rant.
All right. Well, on
I
that
only have
note,
written about BYU, but they're technically not part of the tournament anyway. So.
best of luck with your brackets,
Same to you.
and I will go say hi to Disney World for you.
All right. You don't have to say I don't really care. But
All right.
you want.
Enjoy March Madness, everyone. I will talk to you all soon.
Same to you. Also, before you go, a happy early birthday.
Happy early birthday.
What is it this week?
Thank you. Oh,
Saturday?
yes.
Saturday or Friday?
Friday.
Friday.
Wait,
I'll talk to you both soon. Let me know how it goes.
24, you old man.
Shut up. Dennis is older. Bye.
Toodaloo, Matthew. All right. Thank you, Matt Scarano, for coming to hang
Always
out
good to see good old Matt Scarano.
with us. It is. I'm hoping his audio levels look a little low even for us, so I'm hoping his were pretty good, where the podcast part of this will be all right. So, black my face, but whatever. We'll start with the Midwest. We're doing every single game, round by round, and we'll just do, we want to do the first 2 rounds, get into the Sweet 16, and then,
You're the boss.
okay, we'll do it like that. We'll do the first 2 rounds, so we'll say who's coming out, obviously, so here we go. Kentucky is taking on Hampton. Hampton, a 500 team. That's right, I believe they're 17-17, something along those lines.
They're going to win.
So,
First 16, 1 upset. Possibly.
I doubt it. But anywho, Kentucky, easily, assuming you're on the same bandwagon.
I guess.
All right.
Pull my leg. Pull
Okay.
my arm.
Cincy, Purdue, I have Purdue.
I have Purdue.
All right.
Big Ten power.
Let's see. I don't really have much to say. That's all I wrote about them. Cincy's slow-paced, and they're not great. Not great rebounding the ball. Purdue turns it over, but I watched them play when they played Wisconsin, and they did pretty well inside until Wisconsin, took off and did what Wisconsin should have done, which they did, win. West Virginia, Buffalo, I have West Virginia.
Same.
Badly wanted to pick Buffalo, but I just couldn't do it. I haven't watched either of these teams play, and I imagine West Virginia, with the competition they faced this year in the Big 12, there's got to be some level up.
ESPN said this was the most safe 12-5 upset. I'm still not buying. I don't think any 12 seed is going to win this year.
No 12 seed? I don't know if I have any of that either. I guess we'll get to it.
Nope.
All right. Maryland and what is
Valparaiso.
this? Valparaiso.
Valpo.
Going to be a barn burner, sir.
I think my Terps are going to take it.
Yeah, pretty easily. Maryland. Butler, Texas. Same disagreement here. I wrote down Butler. Still a little indecisive.
I have Texas.
Okay.
The sole reason is I don't think they even should have been in the tournament. And I think that's going to kind of motivate them. They're going to want to prove themselves.
Okay. I wrote these stats. Butler avoids turnovers, but the cool thing about Texas, there's only one team behind them in what I wrote here in defending the 2-point shot and block percentage per game. That's Kentucky. They're ahead of Kentucky in both of those categories to lead the country. However, then you look at these nice little stats right here. 0-9 versus Kansas, Iowa State, Oklahoma, and Oklahoma State. That's not very good. That's your toughest competition, Butler. I think it's going to be close. I'm very excited. When is this game? Is it? Nah, it's kind of an early game.
I don't have times.
Yeah, that is.
I got mine from ESPN.
I got mine from,
NCAA.
I guess. My mommy did it for me.
Of course.
I don't have a printer, man. Gotta do what you gotta do. Anyway, Notre Dame and Northwestern. I
think we'll both be on the
Yeah.
Fighting Irish on this one.
Notre Dame, I'm expecting big, but I'm so scared for this game. I really am.
For this game?
For this game, Northeastern shoots the basketball, and I'm worried about this Notre Dame team. I think it's
If
just
you were
because-
not a Notre Dame fan, you would not be worried about this game.
Probably not, but I'm just worried. This is one of those upsets. This is one of those things Georgetown has done for the past couple of years.
Duke
did last year. A team that should easily move on. Everybody pretty much has in the Elite Eight until they run into Kentucky. I'm worried for their first 2 rounds of this tournament. And then Wichita State, Indiana. So badly want to pick Indiana.
Same, but I stuck with Wichita. I
Yeah.
think Indiana's last 10 games has been pitiful.
I wanted to pick Indiana because if they get hot, they can shoot.
When they're hot,
lights
they're
out.
amazing, but lately they've been playing awful.
It's going to be interesting. And I think Wichita State, in a bad way, wants to play Kansas. They want to play Kansas. And Kansas wants to play them and get this whole little rivalry thing that nobody really talks about over what apparently they don't like each other. Who cares?
Who knew?
Kansas, New Mexico State. I think Kansas big. I'm not sold on this Kansas team at all. But
I'm not either.
Kansas. So, we'll just do first round. We'll write down the list. Wisconsin, Coastal Carolina, Wisco, big.
Agreed.
Oregon, or Oklahoma State. I had Oregon.
I have Oklahoma State.
Okay. Any certain reason or just No?
Just
I watched Oregon play against Arizona, and I thought for a while they hung in there, and I was hoping for the upset because I just needed them or Wisconsin to lose, and I was sure Notre Dame had a much better shot at getting the 2 seed. Neither of those things happened. What are you going to do? But I like Oregon. They got cool uniforms, too, so a little bit of swagger. I don't know. Arkansas and Wofford. I have Arkansas.
I reluctantly took the SEC team.
They played well against Kentucky, so I guess we'll see. But Arkansas, North Carolina, Harvard, another game that's kind of worrying me. But as long as Marcus Page plays the way he did in the ACC tournament, they'll be fine.
I'm expecting big things from this UNC team this year.
As am I.
Big.
As am I.
Big. We shall see.
We'll get there. And then Xavier BYU. Here's my little rant. Filled out 2 brackets on the lovely site ESPN and had Xavier winning this first round matchup, no matter who they face, BYU or Ole Miss. Went to do my research for this here show, and everybody was on BYU. They got shooters. What's the dude's name? I wrote it down here.
Hayes, Hawes.
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 Yeah. Now we're in the West, so I can do it like that. Hawes, right? Where is it? I didn't write it down. Whatever.
Hawes.
They beat Gonzaga on the road in the last game of the year. That was an automatic thing for me. I watched some footage of the guys. They can all shoot. And I was pretty confident in the first half last night. They were up 16, 18, something like that. They were up big. They were up to double digits, whatever it was. To watch that team let Ole Miss get back into this game, and even in the final minutes, their big dude, whatever his name was for Ole Miss, fouled out.
Don't know his name.
With 20 points. So, there's the moment for you. 2 wide open 3-pointers to tie the game in the last minute. You missed them both. I'm picking you because everybody says you're a shooting team. And you lose. Just going to say it. I had BYU moving on and then moving on again to the Sweet 16. So already we're not even into this bracket, and it's a little section of mine is busted.
See, on ESPN.
I'm going to stick with it. I could change it because technically I got 3 brackets. 2 of them have Xavier.
On ESPN, it didn't make me pick either or. It just let me pick like both.
Well, yeah, that's how this was. Like ESPN was the same way. Like I picked, it was both. It was one or the other. So, but I picked Xavier in ESPN.
I still think Xavier's gonna lose. I've watched them a couple times this season, and they haven't impressed me. No.
You'll get. We'll see when we get to the next round. You'll see why
I think Ole Miss will beat them.
All right. Well, it doesn't matter for me because whatever. Baylor, Georgia State. I so badly wanted to take Georgia State.
Did you see how many points they scored in their championship game?
Yeah, 30-something or
it was
whatever.
38-36.
I don't care.
I was on Georgia State.
Who?
The kid that broke his leg on
Louisville. Kevin Ware.
Kevin Ware. Yeah, let's transfer from Louisville to Georgia State. Yeah, yes. Well,
I wouldn't have done that.
I think they're going to get demolished.
I still pick Baylor. You can see the little scribble here. That was G State about me writing. I almost did it. Baylor. I'm telling you, I just don't like this Baylor team. Everything that I went to,
I don't either, but
they don't give me anything.
I don't think they have any very
makes me
hard
wanna
games
pick
in the beginning.
Well, I thought so, but we'll get to that. VCU, Ohio State. I have VCU.
I have the Ohio State Buckeyes.
I'm in love with the A10 teams in this tournament. All 3 of them. VCU, Dayton, and who's the other team? Davidson.
Ohio State has a potential freshman of the year, Russell, guard on their team. He is amazing. When he is on, he is on. And I think he's going to light this tournament up.
Really?
No. Just this game.
Just one round.
One round.
Until they run into Arizona.
Yes.
All right. I'm taking VCU. Shaka Smart has been here before. Maybe they're a little underseeded. I guess the teams that they play, they're all competitive within the A10. The A10 is really not that competitive. So a 7, I could see him maybe getting a 6. It's neither here nor there. I'm taking VCU. They're a good free throw shooting team. I watched them in that championship game when they beat Dayton. The way they closed it out, the way it was back and forth the whole way, but their free throw shooting, the way Smart managed the game for his team, if it comes down to the wire, I'll take VCU over Ohio State. And then Arizona, Texas Southern, I think we're both Arizona.
Agreed.
All right, over to the East. Nova and Lafayette.
Nova.
Not even close. The backcourt of Villanova, this better just be a blowout that nobody needs to watch. NC State, LSU. I have LSU.
I have NC State. NC State has one of the best guards in the country. Don't remember his name. Probably should have researched that.
That's all right. I like LSU. Again, SEC. Played against Kentucky. Came very close. They were one of the few teams that actually came close to beating them. They were home. They were on the road. But, Kentucky is Kentucky. And they went on. LSU, bad loss in the SEC tournament to Auburn. Auburn had no business in that game against Kentucky.
Bruce Pearl.
I don't care about Bruce Pearl. They had 14, 15 wins in the regular season. I don't care. They had no business being there. It's a bad loss. LSU wants to come out strong. In this first round, they'll be NC State. Northern Iowa, Wyoming. I had Northern Iowa.
Agreed.
Okay. They're a good shooting team. They don't turn the ball over. Northern Iowa. Louisville, UC Irvine. UC Irvine, nice baseball school. If you watch College World Series. Louisville, not even close. Another game that I went back and forth on. Providence will take on the winner of Boise State Dayton, which is actually either happening right now or they're the late game. There's a game that's at like 6:30, and then there's a game at like 9:30 tonight. I'm taking Dayton to win that game. Not that it really counts. I wanted, in my ESPN brackets, I had Dayton moving on. I had Dayton beating Providence. Then I went on and watched the tape, heard some guys talk about it, and his Providence team is legit. That's why I picked Providence.
I have watched Providence at least 3 or 4 games this year. Probably more. And when you watch a full game of their whole scheme of things, they have a great inside game. Very underrated. Their three-point shooting is on and off, but when they're on, they're a full-rounded team, and I picked them.
Their guard Dunn, and then this Henton, the dude inside. I think that's
one of the most underrated guards in the country.
14 assists a game. I wrote. So they share the ball. But I love this Dayton basketball team. They could have beaten VCU. I think watching a better VCU team narrowly beat them in the championship game, and now watching how many good things are being said about this Providence team, and watching that they played well against Villanova. I believe they beat Notre Dame earlier in the year. I could be wrong on that.
Who?
Providence. I'm pretty sure they gave Notre Dame their first loss of the year.
Actually, that's lost Providence 75-74.
Yeah, see, there you go.
Look at the stat, man.
Boom, boom. Providence. Now, Oklahoma, one of the teams you don't think belongs there. Albany.
I think they'll win this game.
Okay.
That's it.
Michigan State, Georgia. Michigan State, big.
They're on fire right now. Tom Izzo has got his team playing crazy. And this time of the year, beginning of the season doesn't matter. It's all about how you're playing right now. And he's got his team ready to go.
I don't bet against Tom Izzo. Not this time of year. And when you look at Valentine, their guards, what's the other dude's name? Trice, I have him written down. And Dawson, who scored 20-something
their
points.
center Costello, who's been playing so much better.
If there was replay, they would have seen the Wisconsin's guy's foot out of bounds. Michigan State wins the Big Ten title game, thus probably giving them maybe a 5 seed. Maybe it jumps them up because they beat a high team like Wisconsin, a Wisconsin team that would go on to get a 1 seed. Michigan State, I think, destroys a pretty average SEC Georgia team. And then final matchup, the 2 seed Virginia in the East takes on Belmont. I think Virginia, again, it's going to come back to Jason Anderson. Is it Justin Anderson or Jason Anderson? I have it written down. Justin Anderson. That was right. His hand injury, the appendectomy or whatever that he had soon after that, he's a different player. They have to be able to get through this weekend in order for him, I think, to make any damage in this tournament. They're a different team. When I watched them, who beat them? UNC in the ACC tournament. They're a different team when he's not 100%.
Very different.
They have their guard, Brogdon. What's his name?
Brogman. Whatever.
Brogdon. I think it's Brogdon. He's great, but he can only do so much. And in a tournament, when you look at, you're going to face teams that have multiple guys that can score the basketball, dish it around. I think Virginia's in trouble.
Agreed.
As long as, if they can get past this first weekend, these first 2 rounds. But we'll see. Down to the South, Duke is the number 1 seed. I don't think Duke deserves
Viewers,
the
if you
number
didn't
1
know,
seed.
Dennis had Duke winning it all last year, and they took a pooper in the first round. So Dennis is feeling a little.
I don't like Duke.
He's like Duke right now.
You can search for the rant through the SoundCloud
Do you
page.
hate Christian Laettner?
You have to. I actually really like Christian Laettner. Did you watch that?
I did.
I loved it. I thought it was
good.
freaking awesome. Pretty much every ESPN 30 for 30 thing I've watched, it's been great. The ones I haven't watched, I should watch. I guess a lot of them are on Netflix. But I thought that was a great
It was.
thing. I loved seeing that the Fab Five was involved in it, the UNLV team that was undefeated at the time in 91 or whatever. Great story. This Duke team? No. This Duke team's actually really good. I feel much better about
than
this
last year.
Duke team than last year. Much better. And I'll get into that once we get into the later rounds. But, right now they take on the winner of Northern Florida, Robert Morris, who is the other playing game tonight. Duke, no problem, no matter who they play.
Let's hope.
Let's hope.
It is Duke.
Who knows? If there was a team that would be the first team to lose a 1-16 matchup, I would be okay if it was Duke. Just because of what he did to me last year. Anyway, San Diego State, St. John's. Good game here.
I have St. John's. This was one of the picks in the first round that I really struggled with.
Mhm.
Haven't really seen much San Diego State. The few times I've seen St. John's, they haven't played very well. So I don't really know why I picked them. But I did. It's on my paper. I'm going to stick with it.
I have San Diego State. San Diego State should have won their conference. Didn't play well enough to do it. Did they lose in the championship?
Yeah, they lost
To Wyoming. Okay. So, and then I guess St. John's has somebody that's hurt. I wrote it down. Chris Obekba,
Great.
whatever. He's suspended. So, I guess that's a big deal. So I took San Diego State. Moving on down to the 5-12 matchup, Utah, SF Austin. This is another 5-12 people are saying could be an upset.
Not buying it.
I haven't watched Utah really play at all. Utah was borderline top 10 team throughout the whole season. So I'm not buying that they're going to come in and lay an egg in the first round of this tournament. I think Utah.
Agreed.
Okay. Now,
Here's where you get suckered into ESPN.
Georgetown, Eastern Washington. Georgetown, in my opinion, not deserving of a 4 seed. Maybe 5. 6 might have been a little too harsh. But Eastern Washington has the nation's leading scorer on their team. Georgetown hasn't made it out of the first round in the last 5 years. Something like that. I have Eastern Washington on my paper.
Of course you do.
Moving on. In my ESPN ones, before I started doing some research, I picked Georgetown. Because how many years is this going to go on?
That's kind of why I did it.
I might change it. I still have some time. But for right now,
Still time.
Eastern Washington. Because I just don't buy in to Georgetown. And I talked with our good friend Nick Burns last night when we were out.
Boy, he hates Georgetown.
He can't stand it. He despises them.
Even though it's his team.
Quite the opposite. Anyway, he feels confident, but at the same time can see a blowout.
He knows what's
coming
happened in the
his
past.
So it's not hard to forget Florida Gulf Coast when Georgetown was a 2 seed. Otto Porter.
Ohio.
They were primed to do big things. I have Eastern. I'm sticking with Eastern Washington. That might change. The nation's leading scorer does more for me than anything Georgetown has. So we'll see. The nation's leading scorer, though, doesn't usually do great things. Providence had the nation's leading scorer 1 year. I don't think they made the tournament. Jimmer Fredette, I don't know if he ever led. Doug McDermott with Creighton. Creighton was always one of those 7-10 teams that never did anything. Moving on. SMU, winners of the American, thank God. Because like Matt said, wasted bids. UConn would have been one of those wasted bids.
Boy, they did not deserve to be there.
They're taking on UCLA,
I
a
think
team
this
we already
is.
talked about that does not deserve maybe get into the tournament, but not an automatic 11 seed. They should have been one of these playing games.
I think this is one of the worst games in the first round.
This is one aside
I think it's
from-
going to be terrible, ugly, and boring.
I think SMU destroys.
I
UCLA.
I also have SMU, but I think neither of these teams are very athletic.
No,
Going to go far.
And even, people ask me, did you watch UConn in the American Championship? No, I did not watch UConn. I was watching VCU and Dayton go back and forth for like the last 10 minutes of their game, and that went right into Michigan State, Wisconsin. That's what I was doing on my Sunday afternoon, not watching the American Championship game, especially when people said, here comes another guard for UConn. No, not another guard. When I find out that the guard people are saying, could he have the channeling his inner Kemba, inner Napier,
No.
and he has 7 points and a buttload of turnovers in the final game?
No.
Still, it's not like SMU blew them out. So UConn was in the game. Nothing against UConn. They got a pretty good coaching staff. They have some guys that can make plays, but they don't play anybody. Now that Louisville is out of that conference, there's nobody in that
They
conference.
played Tulsa twice a year.
Yeah, Tulsa. Another NIT team.
Houston. Tulane.
SMU, big, but like you said, disgusting. 3 seed in this bracket's Iowa State. I love this Cyclone team.
Love this
Love
team. You know who beat them in the
They're
beginning of the
playing
season?
UAB.
The Terps.
Great.
We
Good,
beat them.
good for Maryland.
Yes.
I love Iowa State. Let me just rattle off one thing for you here. Where is it? 5 games they've played, they've been down by 10 or more, either at the half or somewhere in the second half, including being down 17 to Kansas in the Big 12 title game. They came back to win all of those games. And that's not games in the beginning of the season when you're playing
That's
terrible
unreal.
teams. You're playing Oklahoma, Kansas, Oklahoma State, Baylor. All these teams are top-ranked teams in the tournament right now. They don't lose. They got a fantastic coaching staff. Their bigs play like their guards. They can all shoot. They can all come out to the perimeter, set screens. It's a wonderful little system. They were there last year. They lost somebody. They lost the shooter that they had. I don't know who it was. But I think they're here now. I think they're in the perfect little situation.
Agreed.
However, could smell upset alert when they get further on because the 7 seed Iowa takes on the 10 seed Davidson. I love this Davidson team. I'm taking Davidson.
I know you are. I am going to counteract that with the
Okay.
7 seed Iowa. I'm sure I've watched them more than you this year,
Most likely.
just because they're in the Big Ten. You don't watch Big Ten.
Nope.
Iowa has great bigs. They shoot the ball, but their inside game is fantastic. I'm going to stick with them.
I'm taking Davidson because from what I've seen and what I've heard, they haven't had an offensive team like this since a little guy named Steph Curry was on the team. Granted, they didn't do much when they went to the tournament with him either. But if they can get out of the first round, that's all I'm looking for. Because then they run into the 2 seed in this bracket, or this section, Gonzaga, who's taking on North Dakota State. The Bisons of North Dakota.
Could be a tricky one.
Could be.
But
A 2 seed has lost before.
I think the Zags will pull it off.
Yeah, pretty convincingly, I think. I haven't watched Gonzaga really at all, but
I
again,
saw them lose to BYU. That's the only game I watched.
I saw a little bit of them in their conference games, but not much, not enough to say I love this team. I'm not really sold on them. They're the one team between the 1 and 2 teams that I'm just not sold on. Kansas and Virginia right behind them.
Not really sold on Arizona. But I'll get to that. I have stats.
To the second round we go. Kentucky is taking on Purdue in both our brackets. They are. Kentucky, very convincingly.
Agreed.
I think this Purdue team is going to play a game like they played against Wisconsin. They'll be there if they can hold on through halftime. But eventually, Kentucky's too big and too athletic inside.
At least for this team.
Exactly. Okay. Down the bracket we go. West Virginia, Maryland.
Think we know who I have?
The Terps.
Yes. Sir.
I have the Terps as well. Moving on. Butler and Notre Dame. You have Texas.
Texas, Notre
Notre
Dame.
Dame.
But we both have Notre Dame.
Okay. Can you see Texas at all?
No.
No?
No.
All right. Butler, I can see just because they don't turn the ball over. They're an efficient offense like Notre Dame. But I'm sorry, if you're going to get into a shooting match with Notre Dame, I'm taking Notre Dame every day of the week.
Covington, maybe. Grant.
Astoria. Astoria's been hitting good shots, big shots. Nobody really knows who he is. And, ladies and germs, let me just let you know, this will be freshman Bonzi Colson's coming out party. Nobody really knows who he is, but if you watched him play against Duke and you watched him play against UNC, he came out in that UNC game in the first half and took over 13 points or something like that. Or maybe that was the Duke game. I think it was the Duke game because August got in foul trouble with Okafor down low. Just saying. Watch out, Bonzi Colson. He plays the 4 or the 5, but he's only like 6'8". Shut up. Moving on. I have Wichita State, Kansas. You have the same?
Same.
Who do you have?
I have Kansas.
I have Wichita State.
Oh, my goodness.
I have Wichita State. Moving on.
They're
I
so-
will tell
As much as Kansas is
why.
overrated, Wichita State is so overrated.
Just saying. They are almost the same team from last year. The same team that is sick and tired of hearing that they don't play nobody, which is true. What'd they get? Knocked out of the first round against a Kentucky team that would eventually move on to the finals and lose to UConn. I don't like this Kansas basketball team. They play defense, but their offense, it's like Jekyll and Hyde. I don't know which team is showing up. Yeah, they had the toughest schedule in the country. That made me give them a little bit of sympathy. But I'm taking Wichita State. It's on this paper. That's what I'm going with.
Mine's not even in pen, so mine can't be erased.
I can't erase my pen. I can cross it out, but
Yeah, I can't do that. Mine's etched in stone. Staying, it's Kansas.
whatever. Wichita State in
Kansas,
the
baby.
upset. Down to the west. Wisconsin, Oregon, Wisco.
I have Wisconsin, Oklahoma State, and I have Wisco.
Arkansas, North Carolina.
I think we both have UNC.
We do. I do not like any of the SEC teams to get out of the first round, perhaps. After that, don't trust them. Then, this is why I'm also mad. I had BYU facing Baylor. I had BYU beating Baylor. That's why I'm mad. I had BYU in the Sweet 16. We're not even in the tournament yet, and one team from my Sweet 16 is already missing. I thank the analysts for that pick. The dozens of people who get paid to tell you what they think. I know it's only an opinion, but you know what? You sold me. And you were wrong. Dead wrong.
I have Ole Miss, Baylor. I don't really like Baylor, but I don't like the SEC even more, so I'm going to go with Baylor.
Well, congratulations for you. VCU, Arizona.
I have Ohio State, Arizona,
Mhm.
and I think we both have Arizona.
I do. I think VCU will give them a challenge. But again, Arizona, they have, what's this guy's name that's back? Ashley. Their big that was hurt last season is back. He's 100% healthy. He's their difference maker inside. VCU doesn't have big guys that can really contend on the low block.
I personally would not be surprised if who I have, Ohio State, beats Arizona. I don't think Arizona has been tested enough this season.
Well,
They-
Pac-12 is not very good.
Quick stat.
Okay.
Stat man.
Take your time.
Arizona has only played 3 top 25 teams. Just 3. That's not a lot at all.
No, it's not. Any from the Pac-12?
They're only from the Pac-12.
Who's ranked in the Pac-12?
Utah
Oh, yeah, that's right.
played them twice, and they played just someone else. But I don't think they've been tested enough. Ohio State has. Not that I'm picking them, but it wouldn't surprise me if they lost. That's why I don't have Arizona going very far.
Okay. Makes sense. Over to the east. I have Nova taking on LSU. You have NC
I have
State.
Nova, NC State. Both have Nova.
Exactly. Pretty
Convincingly.
cut and dry.
Big word.
Boom. Northern Iowa taking on Louisville.
This is
You
where we
have-
differ a little bit.
You have Wyoming. Did you have Wyoming beating them in the first round?
No, that was
Matt.
Matt.
All right.
I'm not.
Sorry.
I think before I write things down. I have Louisville. I think they've been very under the radar all year.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't really focused a lot on them. They haven't really been up there. And I think when you have a team coached by Rick Pitino, you can't count them out. And this is where he likes to shine. Going Louisville.
Okay. I'm going Northern Iowa. I don't like this Louisville team that much. They played well in the ACC. They have some bigs inside. I don't know that dude's name.
Herza.
And what's the other guy? The guy with the G.
Nah, maybe.
Whatever.
Him.
Them. They're good. But at times, Notre Dame blew them out of the water. They hung around with North Carolina. But again, at the same time, North Carolina, I think, was just hitting their stride when they got into the ACC tournament. The ACC is very top-heavy. You look at the teams right off the bat, Virginia, Notre Dame, Duke, UNC, then there's Louisville. There's a reason Louisville's last. I like Northern Iowa. They don't turn the ball over. If they get hot from outside, they can, control the perimeter, keep Louisville's bigs inside. I think it'll be close.
Fair enough.
Not going to be surprised at all if Louisville takes the win. Again, like you said, Tino, he's one of those coaches I don't like to bet against, but I've gone with Louisville a lot in the past. And more often than not, they
You've
screw
been
me over.
disappointed.
Except for the year they were the number one overall seed. And everybody picked Louisville to win, even though I've been watching Louisville close for like 3 or 4 years. Only because I just don't like Louisville. So I get into it when Notre Dame plays them. This was Big East days. Now we're in the ACC.
A little switcheroony.
Boom, boom. The American for like a year. Whatever. So, moving on. Providence, Oklahoma.
I have told you how much I dislike this Oklahoma team. When they played Kansas, like the week before the conference tournament started, they beat them by 2. Kansas was missing their 2 best players, and they barely won. Not sold. I've watched this Providence team. I think they're going to take it.
I have Providence as well. I liked
We don't
what
usually agree this much.
We don't. And I liked what I saw from this Providence team. The Big East is one of the more underrated conferences. Villanova is very good, but they had competition all year. Georgetown,
Up and down.
average team. I think Providence is very, very good. And then there's those, I guess, Catholic schools that are in there with Creighton and Xavier.
Creighton was terrible.
Whatever.
Like
They're one of the teams.
13 wins or.
Shut up.
Just saying.
Just say they're one of the teams. Usually that's there. I like this Providence team. Again, with the guard play, like you were saying with Dunn, and in and out. You get a good guard, you get a good guy down low. It works in tournament situations. So Prov, moving on. Michigan State, Virginia.
Another one where I can't believe that we agree.
Michigan State.
Both on Michigan State going for the 7-2 upset here, baby.
Again, like I said a little while ago, Virginia has to survive this first weekend to get Justin Anderson back. They will not survive this first weekend because of Michigan State. This is not where Virginia wanted to be. This is not the 7-10 matchup they wanted. Now, if Georgia by some miracle beats Michigan State, I think Virginia can handle Georgia.
Please don't say that.
But Michigan State is too good. The anger in Tom Izzo's eyes when they lost in overtime to Wisconsin in that title game. They should have won that game in regulation. His team came out and just got outplayed by a better Wisconsin team. He wants revenge. He wants to get as far as he can in this tournament, and I think behind Valentine and his guards, they'll get there. Michigan State. To the south, Duke and San Diego State. I have Duke.
I
don't have any problem with Duke.
Nope.
Okay. Utah, and I'm sticking with Eastern Washington, and I'm taking Eastern Washington to beat Utah.
I have Utah, Georgetown. This was a pick that I really did not want to make. I picked Georgetown on the sole fact that I have watched 0 games of Utah.
That same reason.
So
The
I got
nation's
Georgetown.
leading scorer, a team from the Pac-12, and overrated Pac-12. This isn't the Pac-12 football where every team is more competitive. So the Utes, in my opinion, going home. When I picked Georgetown, like my ESPN brackets, I had Georgetown beating Utah anyway. But I'm sticking with Eastern Washington for now until they unfortunately run into Duke. SMU and Iowa State.
Clear favorite.
Big time. I think Iowa State has no problem until they reach the next round when it's either Davidson or the Zags of Gonzaga. I'm going with the Zags.
I have Iowa, Gonzaga. I'm going to go with Zags.
So pretty close in where these teams rank up.
It's
Now
pretty unusual
we
for
might
us.
start getting some differences to the Sweet
It's getting a
16.
little closer than you think.
Yeah, you know what? You might be right. Kentucky, Maryland. As a Maryland fan, does Maryland have anything to contend with Kentucky? At this point, I don't think Kentucky has had much competition. This is now the second, end of the weekend because they do the first 2 weeks. They start on Thursday, right? Oh no, these are
Thursday.
the first 2 rounds, and then
Yeah.
the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8 are the same weekend. So yeah, it's a Thursday or Friday, whenever they're lined up to start the tournament. You have a great freshman.
We do.
Do you have any bigs that can be as physical as Kentucky?
We have 0 bigs. We have 1 freshman big who's from Ukraine who is progressing. In our win against Wisconsin, he was one of the main factors we won. He kind of stopped Kaminsky.
Mhm.
So he's able to contribute, but I don't think he's at that level to face these kind of athletes. I think this is going to be the first test for Kentucky. If our freshman Tremble, who could be first team, second team freshman, All-American, he's about 17, 18 points a game. When he is on, he is unbelievable. But even when he's on, he can't do it himself. We need our other guard, Wells, to pump it up. Our other guard, Jake Layman. If those 3 aren't all on the same page, they're going to get wiped out. If they're all on the same page, I think they have a shot, but in the end, I think they'll inevitably lose.
Can they make it close? Can you put a little goosebumps on the arms of Kentucky fans at all?
I don't think they'll get blown out. I would say they'll keep it within 15 points.
Okay. 15
Blowout
points.
is like
All right.
20.
Okay. All right.
Within 15.
Okay.
Single digits.
So playing it safe.
If they lose and it's within single digits, I'll be satisfied. With that season.
You can't argue. Kentucky's undefeated. Maryland, good year.
It's our first year in the tournament since 2010. Last year we were in the ACC. First year in the Big Ten. Good turnaround season. No tournament last year to a 4 seed. Good season.
All right. Moving on. Notre Dame, Wichita State. Again, as a Notre Dame
Gotta blow
fan,
my nose, Dennis. I apologize.
do you think? I'm worried about this game. Now, you have Kansas. What would the producers say if we had one? Nice.
Just some
Just
background.
get all up in there,
Some background.
some ambiance. So, again, this Notre Dame team, all they have to do is get hot from outside, and they're not gonna play inside. Now, again, when they played against Duke, they started 0 of 7, 0 for 6 from the 3-point line. They were barely shooting 3-pointers. They were getting inside. I think part of that was trying to get some fouls on Okafor to maybe get him out of the game come late. Regardless, what it showed me is this team is more versatile offensively than I thought they were. I thought they were pretty much, pick and roll, screen here, screen there, set up the 3, zip the ball around, passing, getting guys open. shooting the three. That's the thing I saw in the UNC game. 24-2 run, yeah, fantastic offense. Why did they score those points? Because the ball was moving. I don't think it was in anybody's hands for longer than 2 seconds. It was zipping around that court before finally someone on the perimeter was all by himself. And, of course, when you have 4 guys that can shoot the three, it's tough to defend. But, again, Wichita State plays great defense. They don't make mistakes. They've been here before. I think if they get this far, in my opinion, beating a Kansas team, this is a game that's going to go down the wire, one of those, 10-minute games where it's the last 2 minutes is 10 minutes long. So I'm worried. I'm taking the Irish.
I have Notre Dame, Kansas in this matchup. And I really liked what I saw from Notre Dame in the ACC tournament throughout the whole thing, not just the championship game. And I took Notre Dame.
Okay.
Go Irish.
Let's hope. Moving down the line, Wisconsin, North Carolina. The first number 1 is off the bubble. I'm taking UNC.
I did as well. Look at this.
It's never happened. It's never happened.
For you viewers who do not know us, Dennis and I are very passionate about our sports, and we have no trouble showing that to each other, even when we disagree, which is quite often sometimes. But this is a nice surprise.
I have to say,
It's a
especially
warmth in my heart.
considering it's Wisconsin, a team you're always so high on. I'm always a big Wisconsin supporter. Last year was the year you decided not to go with them. You should have went with them. They made the Final Four, eventually losing to
Don't remember.
Kentucky. Who did they lose to? I think it was Kentucky.
Before last year, I think I had Wisconsin in the Final Four for like 5 years in a row.
Yeah, and they never got there.
In the one year, I
borderline Sweet 16 team.
But I think UNC is playing much different than they were at the beginning of the season. Roy Williams has them working together. They're moving the ball. Page is on a roll. Wisconsin, Kaminsky can be stopped. When you stop him, you win the game. And I think Carolina has that ability.
It's guard play. You look at the past couple of champions, through the past couple of years, they have a great point guard. Page is that point guard. The things he did in the ACC title game against Notre Dame, a lot of it was, poor defense from Notre Dame at times, but it was quick screens here and there, him fading away for three-pointers, hitting them. He made it a game. This was a game where it was a 24-2 run. Notre Dame was up 16 or 17 at one point. He got it down to single digits. They ended up losing by 4 or 6, whatever it was. Page is a player that can carry his team through the tournament. I believe he will. The problem, like you said, though, is shutting down Kaminsky. And Wisconsin has some good guard play. They have a few guys that can shoot the three. Wisconsin gets hot. Bo Ryan's got some experience in this tournament.
Just a little.
So this will be one of those great, I'm looking at, even if it's Kansas, so far this Sweet 16 is shaping up to be a beaut. Next, I had BYU. They are no longer in the tournament. But regardless, I had Arizona moving on.
I have Baylor, Arizona. And even though I said I don't think Arizona's really been tested, I think they're better than this Big 12 Baylor team. So, Arizona.
Yeah, fair. Over to the East, where I have Villanova taking on Northern Iowa, and I have Villanova. Too much guard play here.
And I have Villanova over Louisville. Yeah, I said that right.
Yeah.
Villanova over Louisville.
Okay. Any of that? Nothing?
No.
Okay. Down the line we go. Fun game.
6-7 in Sweet 16.
Providence, Michigan State. How we both have them, I don't know. It's another agreement that we have. I have Michigan State, though.
I do as well, and I think Providence's good play ends here, and I think Michigan State stomps on Providence.
Blows them out?
Blows them out.
Oh, I don't think that.
Blows
I think
them
it's close.
out. No.
I think it's close.
I don't think this game's going to be close.
I think it'll be a back-and-forth offensive game, not much defense to be found in this game. This is a game that could go into the 80s as far as score-wise, which is pretty high for a college game. Michigan State, though. Down to the south. Duke Eastern Washington. Duke moves on.
You can't say with a straight face.
I would love to pick them, but I can't. This Duke team.
No,
Is-
I'm saying Eastern Washington. You can't say with a straight face.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I can't. It's
I have Duke over Georgetown.
Iowa State, Gonzaga. I have the
Both have Iowa
Cyclones
State.
from the Big 12.
That.
I love this Iowa State team. Everybody can shoot the ball. They share the ball well. I love this Iowa State team.
We have the same exact Elite Eight.
We do. Wow.
That is incredible.
I got a feeling we might have
Do you
the same
remember my
Final
Elite
Four.
Eight last year?
No.
I had 4 or 5 Big 12 teams.
And I think I was quite the opposite with ACC teams.
Boy, I got demolished. I'm never picking Big 12 again. You ruined my heart. And my bracket. And my money.
All right. Back to the Midwest. Elite Eight time. Kentucky, Notre Dame. Now, Kentucky, in my mind, has already had their first test with Maryland 2 days prior. This, to me, is their first true test. Now, it's either going to happen where Notre Dame is in this thing and only loses by maybe 9 or 10 because of free throws late, or Kentucky just comes out with a blaze of glory and stomps all over the Irish and completely shuts down the perimeter. The Irish do not have any bigs. Pretty much their tallest guy is Zach August. He's 6'10". That's it. The other 4 in the starting 5 is Demetrius Jackson, who's 6'1", and then Vastoria, Grant, and Connaughton are all 6'5", 6'6". 4 of them can shoot the 3. They can shoot anywhere. They can drive to the lane. They can draw fouls. They're great offensively. They help each other out. Everybody can pass the ball, like I said, zipping it around the court. They don't have anybody, even Bonzi Colson, who plays the 4, sometimes the 5. He played the 5 in the ACC title game and against Duke at times. He's only like 6'8". He's a big dude. He's got a big upper body, but he's only 6'8". They're going to have to score the ball. They're going to have one of their most impressive offensive outings of the season in order to beat Kentucky. What type of defensive game plan they'll go with, I don't know. You look at the way they played Duke and handling Jameel Okafor, they basically just let him do whatever he wanted. They weren't going to double him. They had August on him. They had Colson on him. At times, Connaughton and Vastoria had to cover him. And it was hopefully he doesn't make the shot. He pretty much made the shot. He had 30-something points in the game. It got to the point where they just started fouling him to send him to the free throw line because he can't make free throws. So I'm taking Kentucky. But this Notre Dame team can beat this Kentucky team. They can win this basketball game. I want to pick it, but I will not jinx myself. So I will take the Wildcats.
This was one of those picks that I also really struggled with. So what did I have to do? I had to go to the stats. These are impressive.
Okay.
Kentucky is 29th in the nation in points per game. Okay.
Pretty average.
Notre Dame, 12th. Okay, you got them there.
Mm-hmm.
Kansas's field goal percentage was not even worth Kentucky. Sorry.
Okay.
Kentucky. Their field goal percentage per game was not worth putting on the paper. Notre Dame is second in the nation in field goal percentage at 51%. That's incredible.
Mm-hmm. Number 1 for a while.
But this last one was where I really picked Kentucky. Kentucky is 21st in the nation in rebounds per game. When I saw Notre Dame stats, I almost didn't believe what was on the page, and I refreshed it. Notre Dame, 250th in the nation in rebounds per game. This Kentucky team is bigger. You're not going to win this game with these short guards if they're not shooting well, and Kentucky's going to out-rebound you big time. So that's kind of the stat where I thought made or broke this game, I pick Kentucky. 250.
Yeah, sorry. I don't know what you want.
That's pitiful.
Again, tallest guy in the court, 6'10".
The Newberry, whatever, is probably better than that.
It's possible. Nighthawks.
Nighthawks.
It's possible.
250.
Again, though, if Notre Dame comes out and the difference is Kentucky's got the big inside. They don't have great perimeter shooting.
No, they don't.
They don't have great guard play. These aren't the John Wall teams, Brandon Knight. Even last year.
That's why their points per game is
Exactly.
not very low.
The problem is Willie Cauley-Stein is developing an offensive game. He's getting better, which is why right now I want him as a draft pick for the NBA because he's already got the defensive makeup. He reminds me of Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis's offensive game wasn't completely polished when he was at Kentucky that year. It was great. He was averaging nearly a triple-double.
Noel.
Yeah, Nerlens Noel. But both of them had exquisite defensive abilities.
Nice word.
Thank you.
Big word.
Problem is Notre Dame doesn't have anybody with any type of defensive ability. They do. They can force turnovers and stuff. But once that ball gets down into the low block, they don't have much that they can do. So it's going to be a shooting fest, and it's unfortunate because if Notre Dame isn't on, if they start a game where they're 0-6, 0-7 from 3, they get into this situation where they go down a 12-2 run for Kentucky, maybe 15-5. We could be looking at the 30-point blowout that was the rematch with Duke. And Notre Dame hung with Duke and beat Duke the first time around. Then they went down and played Duke, and Duke destroyed them. We got our revenge in the ACC tournament, but still, this Irish team can go either way. They're going to have to be hot from the floor. I just don't think it's possible for them to be hot enough. So, Kentucky. Even though I so badly want to pick against Kentucky, I don't want Kentucky to be in the Final Four, but here we are. All right, down to the West. Enough time with that. UNC, Arizona.
We both have UNC.
We do.
Let's go to the stats.
Okay, take me there.
Arizona, 3-0 versus top 25. So haven't really been tested, like I said. UNC, they're 3-7 versus the top 25, which I was kind of iffy, but it's what they've been doing lately. It's what's been
exactly
the ACC runner-up, and they played great in the ACC tournament. UNC, 17th in points per game. Arizona, 22nd, so pretty close. UNC, second in rebounds and assists per game. And Arizona is not even worth mentioning in rebounds per game. So I think with UNC's size and their improved guard play, they're going to take this.
I agree. Again, I've already said it. You need a great guard in a tournament like this. Page is your guy. And again, the coaching of Roy Williams, been here before. I think him and Page can carry this team. And it's all on Page. It falls on him. It did for the same thing with Kemba Walker. It did for Derrick Rose when he was at Memphis. And even though they should have won that championship, they lost to Kansas in overtime a couple years ago, way back when. Guard play. It's big. Picking UNC. Over to the East. Villanova, Michigan State. So badly wanted to take the Spartans. But after doing some research, fiddling around, Jay Wright's got this team with one thing on their mind. That's a national title. Taking Villanova.
I also have Villanova, and Jay Wright, the last couple of years, he's kind of been criticized. He's gotten his team into the tournament every year. They get so far, and then they lose. I've watched this Nova team a lot this year, and their inside game, their perimeter game, I think they're a well-rounded team. I don't necessarily find Jay Wright as a great coach, but I think he knows how to coach this team. And I think he's done a really good job what he's been given. And I think Nova's going to take it over Michigan State.
I think it'll be close. This, to me, aside from Notre Dame game, obviously, which I'll be paying the most attention to, this game will be the most fun to watch in the Elite Eight because the similar guard play is going to be it'll be back and forth. But I think Nova. There's a reason Villanova's got a 1 seed in this tournament. Again, Villanova's been here before and is disappointed. So we'll see. Villanova. Down to the south. In Houston. Apparently that's where it's being taken place.
This is the one
Duke.
where we differ.
And Iowa State. I have Iowa State.
And I have Duke.
I wanted to pick Duke.
I wanted to pick Iowa State.
Okafor, one of the best players in college right now. But again, he can't shoot free throws. It's not that difficult to shoot free throws. I don't understand where some of these big guys come in and can't make them. If I was the coach, why wouldn't you just have him shoot 100 a day? Eventually, he'll get some rhythm down or something. It doesn't make sense to me how he can be so good, so agile, so lethal on the low block, and yet when he steps out 5 to 8 more feet, he can't make a bucket with nobody in front of him. I don't get it. I think it will be the fall of this Duke team. Problem is, and why I can obviously see Duke making to the Final Four, they have, in my mind, the best backcourt of any team in this tournament with Tyus Jones, and what's the other dude? Quinn Cook. And then Winslow, what's his first name? It's written down here somewhere. Justin, whatever. That's how it's spelled, I guess, Justice. He's a freshman. He was basically playing keep away from his own team in the Notre Dame game with a bundle of turnovers, shooting terrible from the field. He was benched to start the second half, but he pulled a Jekyll and Hyde and came back in and was magnificent. He's a legitimate threat and a legitimate baller for Duke. Okafor is obviously going to leave. He's going to be, their leader after Okafor leaves. He's a legitimate talent. He runs the court with a full head of steam. He's got great moves to get into the basket, to try and draw the foul. So depending on which guy shows up, which Winston shows up, the one in the first half against Notre Dame that basically helped Notre Dame get on a big 15-0 run, whatever it was, or the one that comes in the second half and it helps spark a comeback. But again, Iowa State doesn't lose. So I'm taking the Cyclones.
Well, they do lose.
They do lose, but not when they're down. So even if Duke can get on a run, they're going to have a similar defensive game plan as Notre Dame, where just let Okafor do his thing. But by God, do not let the perimeter be open because they got 3 or 4 guys that can drain it from 3. And if you allow that to happen, Duke will murder you.
I think this is going to be a very high-scoring game, possibly even in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes down to that, I think when you're going back and forth like that very quickly, I don't think any team in the country can hang with Duke like that consistently for the whole game. Notre Dame showed a little bit, but I think come this time of the year, Coach K knows how to get his guys ready. He knows how to keep them focused. He knows how to get them ready for the big game. He's been here many times. And I think it's going to be a close game. I think Duke will win.
Plus, one of the big reasons I'm not taking Duke is because I made it pretty clear last year. Never again. They will never do what they did to me last year.
If they win a tournament this year, you're going to be very disappointed.
I will be very disappointed because I can see this Duke team running this table, going in and playing a very good game against Kentucky, or if Kentucky gets bounced, beforehand, maybe against Wisconsin, at UNC, Arizona, Notre Dame, just saying. No.
Maryland.
Okay. Settle down there. But
Maryland, Notre Dame.
it would be great.
Elite 8.
It would be a great game. We would have a party.
I wouldn't even care who won.
I would.
I wouldn't.
Really?
We beat Kentucky. I wouldn't care.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Satisfying
That's
enough.
true. That's true. But I just can't. I can't pick Duke. I can't do it to myself again. And again, like I said, I'm very disappointed if this team makes it to the to the national title game. I obviously think they can. They can beat a team. I'm looking at Michigan State or Villanova. Who's going to come out of the East? I have Nova. Duke can beat Villanova. They have, exceptional guard play. You talk about Villanova's backcourt. I think Duke has the best backcourt, but I just can't do it. I was adamant last year about me never picking Duke again. They got this far, and that's just because they got the luck of the draw where there's not a team from the 13 seed up in their half of the bracket that I think comes close to contending with Duke. Unless Georgetown or maybe Utah, I guess, because I haven't really watched Utah play that much, gets on some little magical run, gets some lucky buckets here and there. Maybe they beat Duke, but I don't see it. So I'm taking Iowa. I love watching this team. I watched them play Oklahoma when they won in a buzzer beater, and I watched the entire Big 12 championship game. I like what I see from this team. Like you said, high scoring. It goes either way, but Iowa. So, Final Four. I have Kentucky coming out of the Midwest, North Carolina coming out of the West, Nova coming out of the East, and Iowa State coming out of the South.
And I have Kentucky out of the Midwest, UNC out of the West, Nova out of the East, and Duke out of the South.
So close. This is history in the making. It's never been this close, ever. So, badly do I want to pick the Tar Heels to upset Kentucky. Because if they make it this far, beating a Wisconsin team that's so good that everybody wants to pick to win, then you go and you beat Arizona, another team a lot of people have in the Final Four, and even in the national title game, beating Kentucky, like in the Final Four and then reaching the national title game. But I just can't do it. The bigs inside for Kentucky, I don't see anybody contending with them. So I picked Kentucky.
Before the tournament started, I really told myself I was not going to put Kentucky in the final game.
I was watching.
Based on the matchups, I just don't think I can not leave them out.
Yeah, I was watching the selection special where they were going by, and they obviously started in the Midwest with Kentucky, and I'm like, all right, let's see, who's going to be their 2 seed, who's going to be their 3 seed. And it goes down the list, and there's Maryland. I'm like, oh, poor Maryland. There's Notre Dame. There's Kansas. It's by far the hardest bracket. Good. Kentucky's the best team. They should have the toughest road to get there. But if they're going to beat a Maryland team that has beaten a Wisconsin team that's played well down the stretch.
And beat Iowa State.
And
Can't forget.
if they're going to beat either Notre Dame, a Wichita State team that can get on a run, or Kansas, who plays good defensive basketball, they're going to be facing one of those 3 teams. They deserve to move on. I don't see anybody in this tournament aside from Duke because of Okafor. Nobody else really has a big that can go with them. In Wisconsin, maybe. Because Kaminsky can play inside, but he can draw those bigs outside on the perimeter because he can shoot from literally anywhere. So, fortunately, yeah, I can't. You the same?
Did the same.
Okay. It's unfortunate.
Toiled
I
with
didn't
it,
want to do it, but I can't sit here and logically say, okay, I can see this team beating Kentucky, and I feel good about it. Couldn't bring myself to write it down, so didn't do it. On the other side of the Final Four, I have Villanova and Iowa State. Again, toyed with it, but I have Villanova.
And I have Villanova Duke. And I know Duke, they're high scoring, they're quick, but I think Villanova can stop that. And when Villanova gets on a 3-point roll, they don't stop. And I think they're going to go to the championship game.
I agree. I couldn't see Iowa State contending with Nova as far as their offensive game. Again, another high-scoring game. Wouldn't surprise me, Iowa State, if they get this far, which I have them, would not surprise me if they can work their way into a national title game. But I just don't see it. So I have Villanova. And then championship game, Kentucky and Villanova, I have Kentucky.
And I do not.
I'll let you explain.
It's a great explanation.
Okay.
So, everyone gets in pools.
Mm-hmm.
You join all these groups. You're with all these people. Everyone is picking Kentucky. That's boring. Get a life. Have some fun. The only way you can win is if you don't pick Kentucky. Because if Kentucky wins, let's say Kentucky wins the whole thing, you need to make sure your little bitty first-round picks were right. Because that's what it's going to come down to. If I have Villanova winning and they win, I'm going to win. That's my reasoning.
Great reasoning, right? Great reasoning. No, Kentucky's too big.
Nope.
They're too athletic. With Paulie Stockton inside and the rest, they're too dangerous. And as good as the guard play is for Nova, or even if it's Duke, I don't see anybody in this tournament contending with the inside presence that Kentucky brings. Nobody. That's it. I didn't want to do it, but I had to do it.
Couldn't do it.
If I was going to do it,
Couldn't do it.
I would pick Duke.
Couldn't do it.
I would pick Duke to beat Kentucky in the championship.
Couldn't do
That's
it.
the only logical team that I can see doing it. But again, I'm not picking Duke.
In the bow tie we trust. Nova.
That pretty much does it.
That was pretty weak.
It was supposed to fly in a circle. It didn't.
But it didn't.
It's fine. So, Ellis, thank you so much
Thank you for having
for
me.
joining me. We'll do this more often. If you'd like, we'll do a baseball preview in a couple of weeks. And come back. I like to do division by division.
I like that.
Same type of system here.
And perhaps in that we can go over my gloating when I win the brackets.
Sure. Because, yes, by the time the championship game will probably be around the same week.
And
Opening day is April 6th.
one day, I always make a bracket where all the higher seeds win every single game. And the 16 seeds are in the Final Four. One day that'll happen. In the bow tie we trust.
Keep dreaming. Keep dreaming. But thank you for stopping by. That's Vinci. That's Ellis Gill. Follow me on Twitter, Menace21. Thank you for joining me. Obviously, if you didn't watch it live, it'll be on YouTube. The recording is on SoundCloud. Just follow me on Twitter or on Facebook, and it will be distributed for you. So we're signing off. Thank you for joining us. Adios.